Tick-tock midnight silence, suddenly a loud thud.
What was that noise?
Alice bolted upright in bed, her eyes darted around the room. She nudged Bob, her husband, awake. He mumbled incoherently. Another thud, this time from downstairs. Cautiously they crept down the stairs, Alice clutching a tennis racket, Bob armed with a fly swatter. S2. What?
Who would deliver a package at this hour?
They reached the front door. A large unmarked package lay on the welcome mat. Alice and Bob exchanged nervous glances. Alice cautiously approached the package, her grip tightening on the tennis racket. She bent down and examined it. No sender address, no return address, just her name scrawled in messy handwriting. A chill ran down her spine. This was no ordinary delivery. Alice, a quirky baker with a penchant for mystery novels, eyed the package with suspicion. Bob, a pragmatic accountant who preferred spreadsheets to surprises, scratched his head in confusion. They were an unlikely pair, brought together by fate and a shared love for their pet goldfish, Bubbles.
What do you think it is? Do you think it's a bomb?
Alice, it's probably just a late birthday present. You know how your Aunt Mildred is.
Alice wasn't convinced. Aunt Mildred's gifts were usually fruitcakes, not ominous packages delivered in the dead of night. Something felt off. They brought the package inside. Alice carefully placed it on the kitchen table, as if it were a ticking time bomb. Bob grabbed a knife to cut the tape, but Alice stopped him.
What if there's a booby trap?
Instead, they meticulously peeled back the tape and opened the box. Inside, they found a wooden puzzle box, intricately carved with strange symbols. No keyhole, no hinges, just a confusing array of interlocking pieces.
Great. Just what we need at this hour. A jigsaw puzzle from hell.
Alice, however, was intrigued. This wasn't just any puzzle, it was a challenge. She ran her fingers over the smooth wood, trying to decipher the symbols. This mystery was quickly becoming an irresistible game. Hours flew by as Alice and Bob toiled over the puzzle. Each solved symbol led to another, more complex configuration. Clues were hidden in plain sight, riddles disguised as patterns. The further they delved into the puzzle, the more elaborate and perplexing it became. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the last piece clicked into place. The puzzle box sprang open, revealing a small, rolled-up parchment inside. Alice unfurled it with trembling hands. Written in elegant script were the words, "Seek the Keeper of Secrets, where shadows dance and whispers meet."
What does that even mean?
Alice knew exactly where they needed to go. The old abandoned house at the edge of town, rumoured to be haunted, specifically the creepy basement, home to whispered legends and childhood nightmares. Armed with flashlights and a healthy dose of trepidation, Alice and Bob crept through the overgrown garden of the abandoned house. The air was thick with the scent of decay and the unsettling feeling of being watched. Every rustle of leaves and distant hoot of an owl made their hearts race faster. The moonlight barely penetrated the dense foliage, casting eerie shadows that danced with every step they took. They found the basement door hidden beneath a pile of rotting leaves. As they pried it open, a musty smell wafted out, sending shivers down their spines. The door creaked ominously, as if it hadn't been opened in decades. The darkness below seemed to beckon them, whispering secrets of the past.
This place gives me the creeps, Bob. Are you sure we should go down there? Alice's voice trembled, her grip tightening on the flashlight.
We've come this far, Alice. We can't back out now. Bob's determination was evident, though a hint of doubt flickered in his eyes.
The basement was dark and damp, cobwebs clinging to every surface. A single bare bulb cast long, eerie shadows on the walls. The air was thick with the smell of mold and decay, making it hard to breathe. Every step they took echoed, amplifying the silence that surrounded them. As their eyes adjusted to the gloom, they saw him. A tall, shadowy figure seated at a rickety table, a single candle illuminating his face. His features were sharp, almost ghostly, and his eyes seemed to pierce through the darkness, watching their every move.
"You were expecting someone else?" His voice was deep and resonant, sending chills down their spines.
He introduced himself as Mr. X, the self-proclaimed keeper of secrets. He explained that the package, the puzzle, it was all a test, a way to find someone worthy of inheriting his most prized possession. His words were cryptic, filled with hidden meanings and veiled threats. Alice and Bob exchanged nervous glances, realizing they were in the presence of someone far more dangerous and enigmatic than they had anticipated. The room seemed to close in on them, the weight of Mr. X's gaze making it hard to think clearly. Just as Mr. X was about to reveal his secret, a loud voice boomed from the basement entrance, echoing through the dimly lit room and sending shivers down everyone's spine.
Hold it right there, don't move.
A figure in a police uniform stepped into the dim light, her flashlight beam dancing across the room, casting eerie shadows on the walls. It was Officer Jane, a regular at Alice's bakery and notorious for her love of Alice's red velvet cupcakes. Her presence was both unexpected and commanding. Alice and Bob were stunned, their eyes wide with disbelief. They had never seen Officer Jane in such a serious and intense manner before.
Officer Jane, what are you doing here? This is the last place we expected to see you.
Officer Jane explained that she had been investigating a series of strange occurrences in the neighborhood, including the mysterious disappearance of Aunt Mildred's prize-winning pumpkin, which had baffled everyone in the community. All clues led to this abandoned house, a place that had long been rumored to be haunted. Officer Jane turned to Mr. X, a glint in her eye, ready to uncover the truth.
And you, sir, are under arrest for impersonating a baker and stealing a prize-winning pumpkin. Your scheme ends here.
It turned out Mr. X was actually Mildred's disgruntled neighbor, who had orchestrated this elaborate scheme to get back at her for winning the annual pumpkin contest. His jealousy had driven him to extreme measures, but Officer Jane's keen instincts and dedication to justice had finally brought the truth to light. The tension in the basement evaporated, replaced by a wave of relief and amusement. Alice and Bob couldn't help but chuckle at the absurdity of the situation. All this drama, the mystery, the creepy basement, all for a stolen pumpkin. As Officer Jane led Mr. X away, she winked at Alice and Bob.
You know, that puzzle box reminded me of something I saw at the police auction last week. Seems like someone pawned it off after losing the key.
Alice and Bob exchanged surprised glances. So the mysterious package wasn't a threat, just a case of mistaken identity. They had to laugh. They had stumbled into a comedy disguised as a thriller.
Well, that was unexpected.
You can say that again.
Back home with the sleepy Bubbles swimming lazily in his bowl, Alice and Bob recounted the night's adventures, their faces glowing in the warm light of the fireplace. The evening had been nothing short of extraordinary, filled with unexpected twists and turns that neither of them could have predicted. As they shared a generous slice of Alice's freshly baked pumpkin pie, made with Aunt Mildred's secret recipe that had been passed down through generations, they couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of it all. They realized that sometimes the most unexpected journeys lead to the most hilarious and memorable destinations.
And what about Mr. X's prized possession? The one that had everyone on edge, wondering what secrets it held.
It turned out to be a recipe book, but not just any recipe book. It was filled with Aunt Mildred's award-winning baking secrets, a treasure trove of culinary wisdom that Officer Jane promised to return to its rightful owner, ensuring that the legacy of Aunt Mildred's baking would continue.
The mystery was solved, the culprit apprehended, and Alice and Bob had a story they would be retelling for years to come. Each retelling would be filled with a little more embellishment, a lot more laughter, and perhaps even a few new twists to keep their audience entertained. After all, life was full of surprises, and sometimes those surprises were best served with a side of humor. And as Alice and Bob finished their pie, they knew that this was one adventure they would never forget, a tale that would bring smiles and chuckles for years to come.